Welcome to the Jones Life Stories, where we weave tales that grip your heart, ignite your courage, and remind you that true strength lies in love and truth. If you're inspired by stories of resilience against all odds, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs a spark of hope, and subscribe to the Jones Life Stories for more narratives that prove no obstacle is too big when you fight for what matters most. The November mist hung heavy over Willow Creek Cemetery, cloaking the ancient oak trees in a shroud of sorrow. Desmond Sterling, 58, stood before the polished granite tomb of his daughter, Annalise, a single white rose trembling in his manicured hand. As the formidable head of Sterling Financial, he built an empire that bent markets to his will, but no amount of wealth could fill the void left by Annalise's sudden disappearance 3 years ago at age 26. Presumed dead, her absence haunted him, a wound that refused to heal. The damp petals of the rose mirrored his grief, each bead of moisture a silent testament to his loss. Then through the fog he saw them, a young black man in a worn delivery uniform, kneeling by Annalise's grave, gently rocking a small white child, both weeping softly. Desmond froze, his hand tightening around the rose's thorny stem, the pain grounding him in the surreal moment. He'd never seen this man or child before, yet their presence at his daughter's grave stirred an unsettling echo in his chest, as if the universe was about to unravel a secret he wasn't prepared to face. Have you ever stumbled upon a moment that changed everything you thought you knew? Stay with us as we uncover a story of hidden truths, fierce love, and a battle that will shake the foundations of a powerful man's world. This is the Jones Life Stories, where every tale reminds you, never underestimate the power of truth. Desmond's voice, usually a command that silenced boardrooms, trembled as he spoke. "Excuse me, this is a private moment. You're intruding." The young man looked up, his red-rimmed eyes holding a quiet dignity that clashed with Desmond's imposing presence. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the mist. "I didn't know anyone else would be here today." The child, a boy of about 3, gazed up at Desmond with wide, intelligent green eyes that seized Desmond's breath. They were Annalise's eyes, the same eyes he saw in his own reflection for decades. "Who are you?" Desmond demanded, his ruthless business instincts kicking in. "And why are you crying at my daughter's grave?" The man wiped a tear from the child's cheek, his movements gentle but resolute. "My name is Reese Evans," he said softly, "and this is Oscar. I work for a local courier service. I come here every month because Annalise was important to us." Desmond felt the ground shift beneath him. Annalise, his brilliant, vibrant daughter, had vanished without a trace, leaving no hint of a serious relationship, let alone a child. The rose slipped from his grasp, falling unnoticed onto the cold stone. "Important how?" he asked, his voice dropping to a dangerous edge. The mist thickened, but none of them moved. Reese met Desmond's gaze with a courage that startled the billionaire. "Because Oscar is her son," he said, his words steady despite the weight they carried. "And because I promised her I'd always take care of him, no matter what." Desmond's world tilted. 3 years he'd mourned Annalise, believing his legacy ended with her. Now, a grandson, a white child raised by a black delivery driver, stood before him, living a life he couldn't have imagined. Yet, there was something in Reese's eyes, a guardedness, a hidden fear, that suggested he held secrets far deeper than Oscar's existence. Desmond didn't know it yet, but this chance encounter was the first thread in a meticulously woven tapestry of lies and betrayals involving people closer to him than he could ever suspect. At the Jones Life Stories, we believe that sometimes the smallest moments spark the biggest revelations. Have you ever discovered a truth that turned your world upside down? Share your story in the comments, and let's build a community of courage together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that inspire you to fight for what's right. 2 weeks later, Desmond's opulent home office had transformed into a command center littered with private investigator reports that detailed Reese Evans's life. Single, no known close family. Works 2 jobs, 70 hours a week, just to keep them afloat, Desmond muttered, flipping through the documents. Lives in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in the industrial part of town. No formal education beyond high school. His longtime executive assistant, Mr. Finch, a black man who'd witnessed Desmond dismantle rival corporations, stood stiffly nearby, his expression tense. "This is where it gets strange," Finch said, opening a separate file. "We can't find a birth certificate, hospital records, or any official documentation for Oscar's biological mother. It's like she never existed." Desmond tapped his pen on the desk, a habit his board members dreaded, signaling his growing frustration. After Annalise's disappearance, he'd scoured every detail of her life, searching for answers, but found no evidence of a child or serious relationships. Now this mystery deepened, gnawing at his need for control. Desmond scheduled a meeting with Reese at Sterling Financial's 70-story glass tower, a monument to his power. Reese arrived in his best and only suit, clearly a thrift store find, its worn fabric a stark contrast to the gleaming wealth around him. The top-floor office, with its panoramic city views, was designed to intimidate, and Desmond wielded it like a weapon. "Sit," he commanded, gesturing to a low chair position to make Reese look up at him. Reese remained standing. "I prefer to stand." "Thank you." Desmond opened a folder, his tone cold. "I've looked into you, Mr. Evans. 2 jobs, no savings, living in conditions unsuitable for a child." Reese's voice was calm but firm. "Oscar is well cared for and loved." Desmond's smile was chilling, humorless. "I'm sure you do your best, but a Sterling child deserves more than your best. He deserves the best money can buy." "And what exactly are you suggesting?" Reese asked, his gaze unwavering. Desmond slid a signed check for $250,000 across the polished mahogany desk. "Oscar comes to live with me, gets the education he deserves, the future Annalise would have wanted. You can visit on weekends, of course." Reese stared at the check as if it were a venomous snake. "Are you trying to buy my son?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with disdain. "He's not your son," Desmond retorted, his civility slipping. "He's my grandson, blood of my blood. And frankly, a black delivery driver in his 20s cannot offer him what a family like ours can." Reese let out a short, bitter laugh. "Family? Desmond, may I call you Desmond? Oscar has called me Dad for 3 years. I wake him from nightmares, teach him his ABCs, read him bedtime stories. That's family." Desmond rose, his imposing height towering over Reese. "Noble sentiments, but reality is harsh. You work like a dog to pay rent that eats half your income. Oscar deserves private schools, trips around the world, opportunities you can never give him." Reese countered, his voice piercing. "And he deserves unconditional love, something you clearly didn't give your own daughter." The silence was deafening. Desmond felt as if he'd been struck. "How dare you?" he seethed. "Annalise told me everything." Reese continued, about the missed recitals, the art shows you never attended, the birthdays where you sent gifts through assistants. "You want Oscar to clear your conscience, not because you care." Desmond clenched his fists. "You don't know me." "No, but I knew your daughter," Reese said, picking up the check and tearing it in half, the pieces fluttering to the floor like discarded leaves. "Oscar isn't for sale." "Then we'll do this the hard way," Desmond warned, his voice edged with menace. "I have resources you can't imagine, lawyers, investigators, connections at every level. I can prove a single, uneducated black man living in poverty is not in the child's best interest." Reese smiled, a glint in his eyes that made Desmond hesitate. "Desmond, you're assuming I'm just a poor delivery driver you can intimidate. But there are things about me, about Oscar, about Annalise you haven't discovered yet. And when you do, well, let's just say your investigators aren't as good as you think." He turned for the door, pausing to look back. "The next time you want to talk about Oscar, it'll be on my terms, not yours." Desmond stood alone in his office, the torn check fragments on the floor. For the first time in decades, someone had walked away from a negotiation holding all the cards. What unnerved him most was Reese's unshakable confidence, as if he knew a secret that rendered Desmond's wealth and power irrelevant. Desmond felt watched, studied, evaluated by someone who saw through his defenses and wasn't impressed. At the Jones Life Stories, we know true power lies in standing your ground. Have you ever faced someone who tried to buy your values? Share your story below, and subscribe for more tales of resilience and truth. 3 days later, Desmond's world shook again. His lead attorney, Alistair Croft, a black man from Croft Associates, called, his voice strained. Desmond, Rhys Evans has legal representation. Maxwell, Grant, and Pierce. Desmond scoffed, but his confidence wavered. Maxwell, Grant, and Pierce was a top-tier law firm, famed for never losing major cases, now representing Rhys pro bono. They'd filed a preemptive petition, claiming any attempt to remove Oscar would constitute legal kidnapping based on socioeconomic discrimination. Desmond slammed the phone down, cracking the receiver. Rhys had played a powerful card, one Desmond hadn't anticipated. In Rhys's modest apartment, a different scene unfolded. The small living room was crowded with unexpected allies. Dr. Rosalind Hayes, a respected black professor of constitutional law, Omar Jenkins, a black investigative journalist known for exposing corporate corruption, and Sarah Peterson, an elegant white woman in her 50s, whom Rhys called Aunt Sarah. A former Oxford business law professor, Sarah had raised Rhys after his parents' death, teaching him that knowledge is the only weapon they can't buy or steal. They'd spent 3 years preparing, gathering evidence of Sterling Financial's illegal practices, offshore accounts, employee exploitation, and fraudulent contracts. Desmond thinks his wealth makes him untouchable, Sarah said, her eyes sparkling with quiet fire. He has no idea you've studied his every move. Rhys held Oscar, who played obliviously on the rug. Every night class, every legal journal, every contact. It's all been to protect Oscar and honor Annalise's memory, he said. When Desmond called, enraged about the lawyers, Rhys put him on speaker. You're assuming money is the only power, Rhys said. But the truth about your illegal dealings, fraudulent contracts, bribery, that truth is worth more than money to certain people. Omar chimed in, revealing his investigative series on Sterling Financial. Desmond hung up, but the silence on the line spoke volumes. The truth was his greatest threat. On Monday morning, Desmond's empire collapsed. The London Standard's headline blared, "Empire built on shadows." Leaked documents revealed decades of crimes at Sterling Financial. Fraudulent contracts, illegal payments, money laundering. Every secret Desmond thought buried was exposed. His bank accounts were frozen, his company's stock suspended, and federal agents stormed his home. Desmond Sterling, you're under arrest for tax fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder, they declared, handcuffs clicking around his wrists. As he was led away, Rhys's voice echoed from their last call. Oscar is the last legitimate Sterling. Rhys revealed the final truth. Oscar's mother was Beatrice Sterling, daughter of Desmond's cousin Kenneth, whom Desmond betrayed in 1997 to steal his share of the family business. Beatrice and Annalise, lovers, hid their relationship, fearing Desmond's wrath. When Beatrice died in childbirth, Annalise entrusted Oscar to Rhys, her best friend. But Annalise had uncovered Desmond's darkest secret, a money laundering scheme tied to international cartels. Her investigation led to her murder, orchestrated by Desmond's own associates. Annalise knew, Desmond whispered, the reality crashing down. She spent her last months investigating you, Rhys said. They murdered your daughter to silence her. Oscar, the last legitimate Sterling, inherited the fortune Desmond stole. Desmond's empire, built on lies, crumbled in hours, broadcast live to millions. At the Jones Life Stories, we believe justice, though slow, is unstoppable. Have you ever seen the mighty fall? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stories that prove truth always prevails. 2 years later, Desmond scrubbed floors in Longford Men's State Prison, a stark contrast to his former penthouse offices. Rhys visited, now in a tailored charcoal suit, with news. Oscar's been accepted at Eton College, full scholarship. He's learning the cello like Annalise. The courts had returned the Sterling fortune to Oscar, the rightful heir. He's loved, Rhys said, answering Desmond's question about Oscar's happiness. That's all that matters. In a countryside home overlooking the Sussex Downs, Oscar ran through the garden, calling for Rhys to hear his cello. A framed law degree hung on the wall, earned through Rhys's relentless night studies. Sarah visited often, sharing stories of family and resilience. The best justice isn't destroying your enemies, Rhys taught Oscar, but building something so beautiful they regret not being part of it. Desmond had tried to buy a grandson, but learned too late that family is built through love, not money. Rhys's victory wasn't just toppling an empire, It was creating a future where Oscar knew his worth wasn't tied to wealth or race, but to character and love. This is the Jones Life Stories, where we share tales that inspire you to rise above, fight for justice, and build a legacy of love. Have you ever fought for someone you love? Drop your story in the comments. Hit like, share with a friend, and subscribe to join our community of dreamers and doers. Let's build a community of courage and love together. Until next time, keep fighting for what's right, and never let anyone tell you your dreams are out of reach. This is the Jones Life Stories, signing off.